Hello everybody, welcome back for another video. Hope you're all having a great day and that you are all doing well. To start things off, the cryptocurrency market continues to be a trending topic in the world of finance. However, the question remains, when will Wall Street banks begin crypto trading? The day is closer than we think, according to a former JP Morgan executive. Amber Baldet, who used to work for JP Morgan, believes that the big banks will soon start trading cryptocurrency. She made this declaration during an interview with CNBC. According to her, such a move is even closer than many people think. This revelation holds a fair bit of weight given that this is coming from someone with insider knowledge of Wall Street. Baldet used to head JP Morgan's blockchain division before leaving the bank in April. Goldman Sachs, another prominent Wall Street has already announced plans to establish a trading service. When launched, it will be the first ever Wall Street crypto trading platform. Baldet, however, identified some critical issues standing in the way of broader crypto adoption by big banks. Lacks of regulatory clarity and problems concerning custodial services are among the main challenges preventing a greater institutional presence in the markets. The major banks have no secure crypto custody framework at the moment. This lack of trusted safeguards for cryptocurrency might soon be a thing of the past. However, both Nomura and Coinbase announced last week that they were launching crypto custodial solutions. And remember that these things were launched or are being launched specifically for institutional investors, people who have a lot of money. I'm going to read through some stuff. You'll see as I'm going through all of the news. It's becoming very clear that what's being developed for the cryptocurrency space, or what's being done, is just to kind of groom cryptocurrencies and make them more appealing to rich people. There's no other nice way to say that. I was listening to a podcast, I believe it was with Mike Novogratz. The podcast, I believe, was called Unconfirmed as well. Like, it was actually called Unconfirmed. And he was talking about when big money would enter the space. This was made about 2 days ago, the podcast, so it was relatively recent. And he was saying that everything in the world is pretty much being done to make sure that when these people get in, that it is as comfortable for them as possible. And this is why Coinbase announced last week their 4 different things in Coinbase Prime and stuff like that. It's because, like I said, they know probably more than we know because they have the connections with the rich people that we do not. And literally, they're waiting. It's coming down to all the dominoes are in place, and they're waiting for one of them to be pushed over so that they all can fall over, because apparently there is still a huge stigma around getting into cryptocurrencies. So what they're trying to do is get one company to finally enter the space. And this is why the whole Goldman Sachs things, or JP Morgan, or whoever plans on getting into it very, very soon. When this happens, this leads the way for not only other bigger banks and investors who want to get inside, but it also leads the way for smaller companies as well, which is usually where a large amount of the money will come from, because you can have one major company, but if you have 1,000 smaller ones who are also willing to put up, a small amount of money, this also leads to the gigantic wall of money that they believe will soon enter crypto. So this is the second or third time that I'm hearing now that it's imminent, that something is going to happen within the next couple of weeks, but everyone's been saying this, and this is when the market will slowly pick itself back up, because everything is being done for rich people. Continuing on, an international crackdown on cryptocurrency scams was launched Monday by a group of securities regulators in Canada and the United States. Dubbed Operation Crypto Sweep, because they can't think of any cooler names, the effort was unveiled during a Monday event hosted by the North American Securities Administration Association. Say that 3 times fast, the NASAA. Its existence was first reported by the Washington Post and later detailed in releases from the Tennessee Department of Commerce and Insurance, the TDIC, as well as the Texas State Securities Board, the TSSB. Crypto Sweep, according to statements, constitutes nearly 70 inquiries and investigations and 35 pending or completed enforcement actions since the beginning of the month. More investigations are said to be underway, though it's unclear when any related enforcement actions will be unveiled. The effort gained steam in April when a task force comprised of NASAA members was convened to begin a coordinated series of investigations into ICOs and cryptocurrency-related investment products. The TDIC said initial coin offerings or token sales were a major focus, and officials reportedly identified hundreds for further inquiry. Now, don't get upset. I don't know who's listening to this. I don't know what people think or how. I know a lot of people don't really care for regulations, but I am going to say this. One, I like the idea of the government kind of sweeping up all the bad eggs and getting rid of the scams that are in the cryptocurrency world. That's one thing. The second thing that I've noticed, if you, like I said with this one, things are being set in place to protect institutional investors. And when I first started hearing about things like this, I was like, oh, that sounds really cool. And then I realized that we've had scams in the cryptocurrency world for quite some time, 2, 3, 4, 5, give or take years now. And what it seems like to me, the reason these things are being formed or being launched, or why these crackdowns are taking place, I've realized that they're not for us. As sad as that may sound, it's so when rich money starts to come into the market and it doesn't really know where to go. This is why we have certain exchanges only listing certain coins, leading them to, the larger products. But what eventually ends up happening is people get led astray. They start going into ICOs that sound nice, that sound good, because these people have not been in the cryptocurrency markets. So what happens when a bank decides to invest, $1 billion on 3 different coins, and they're all in ICOs? And at the end of the year, all 3 of the ICOs are fake, and that bank has lost $1 billion. Something then hits the fan, and everyone else gets in trouble because they start screaming, why weren't things regulated a bit more? So I've come to the conclusion that while this may protect normal people who are in the cryptocurrency space, I am all but certain now that all these things are being launched on a international scale between multiple countries, simply because they have to make sure that when the institutional money gets in, that these people are safe. I know it might sound a bit depressing that we still don't have things to protect us, but this is, like I said, tell me if I'm wrong. This is exactly what it feels like, because I was saying that there's so many initiatives, happening that are stopping all these people from scamming us. And then I realized I was like, oh, this is all kind of tying into, especially the rest of the news that I have to read, and also other things that have been going on. I mean, it's, nice that we're getting protected too, but always make sure to read between the lines when you're reading or hearing about things that are happening in cryptocurrencies. Argentina is in the news, and it's actually kind of cool. Argentino's Banco Más Ventas has revealed that starting Monday, I believe this was yesterday, it will enable customers to send cross-border payments using Bitcoin. This once again gets into us, our banks using Bitcoin. This is the second or third bank that we've heard in the last 5 days that has talked about using Bitcoin. A partnership with Latin America-focused exchange startup Bitex, founded in 2014, the news finds the regional bank using Bitcoin as a payments rail in international transactions as an alternative to SWIFT. A lot of banks and a lot of corporations and companies do not like SWIFT anymore. Bitex Chief Marketing Officer Manuel Baudrois, it's a French name, told CoinDesk that the startup believes this marks the first time that a domestic bank has adopted Bitcoin for cross-border payments. In statements, Jose Dacac, principal shareholder of Más Ventas, credited the move to a broader drive by the bank to enhance its digital, smartphone-based services, as well as to lower the bank's cost of service. One of the actions was to contract Bitex as a strategic partner in the implementation of the Bitex platform for payments and collections operations for our clients abroad. While no real-world transactions have been launched yet, the bank will soon use Bitcoin for real customer transactions, Baudrois said. How interesting would it be? Like I said, the dominoes have to start falling in some way. This is not a major bank, but it's probably well known in Argentina. How interesting would it be if by 2 years from now we have, so first things first, what a lot of banks and what I've been hearing about what's been going on is that a lot of banks and institutions were afraid of getting into cryptocurrencies because of the volatility. What happens when these coins, many other coins, especially when Bitcoin finally has Lightning implemented and all these other things, and payments happen within a second, especially with a lot of other coins I'm more than certain that other banks are now testing out some of the other, not smaller coins, number 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, what have you. What's going to happen in a couple of years when other banks start coming forward and saying, yeah, we definitely plan on using Bitcoin for cross-border payments. We're thinking about using Bitcoins. 5% of our transactions will be used for through cryptocurrencies, through Bitcoin. This is the beginning of something major. And I know when I read news stories like this, people kind of pass over it. Bitcoin is 9 years old, and there are banks now using it for cross-border payments. We saw the other bank 2 or 3 videos ago that was showing a Bitcoin miner, which pretty much is that a bank is using a Bitcoin miner. And you better believe that if this bank is using Bitcoin for cross-border payments, they are either A, mining it, or using part of their profits to B, buy cryptocurrencies to hold on to so that they can eventually send them cross-border as well over, it's all lining up together. I know the prices don't reflect it, but something major is happening, and it's all kind of, I just want to kind of see what it is at this point. Next up, on May 18th, the Bank of England released a staff working paper laying out various scenarios of possible risks and financial stability issues of central bank digital currencies, or CBDCs. The paper constructs 3 models of CBDC depending on the sectors that have access to CBDC, from a narrow CBDC where access is limited to banks and non-bank institutional financial institutions (NBFIs) to direct and indirect access extended to households and non-financial firms. Right. The financial institution access model is limited to banks and NBFIs, where financial institutions can interact indirectly with the central bank to purchase and sell CBDC, and it's kind of everywhere. CBDC in exchange for eligible securities. Financial institutions are not supposed to provide an asset to household and firms, which are entirely backed by central bank money. The economy-wide access model assumes that central bank digital currencies is granted to banks and NBFI, households, and firms. In this way, a CBDC can serve as a money for all agents in the economy, while other banks can interact directly with the central bank to buy and sell central bank digital currencies. The report says that households and firms must use central bank digital currencies exchanges to buy and sell central bank digital currencies in exchange for deposits. That word came up way too many times in like 4 lines of the article. So this is another country who has come forward and has not declared that they plan on issuing a central bank currency or digital coin, but that they're looking into it and that they're working on it and that they're looking through, what's the word? They've literally made a paper on exactly what they plan on doing. This is kind of going to tie into something else that I'm going to read in a couple of minutes. But it's clear that countries are looking into this, and I'm pretty sure we should probably get news within the next year or 2 that a major country, and not a developing one, but something Europe-wise, North American, possibly some part of Asia, that they are definitely developing their own central bank cryptocurrency. And this is when I think other countries will start to come forward as well, because this is not the first time that we've had a country develop a paper or some type of framework about exactly for what they think digital currencies issued by banks should be used for and how they will be used. It's all leading up to something. You don't create a paper like this unless you plan on doing something with it in the near future. Next up, Tether is in the news once again. The controversial stablecoin Tether generated $250 million worth of USDT tokens on May 18th. Tether is a company that issues the so-called stablecoins USDT, which it claims are backed at a 1-to-1 ratio by US dollars. Tether has been criticized for its lack of transparency after it broke ties with auditing firm Friedman LLP before an official audit could be conducted. With a near monopoly on stablecoins, the total supply of Tether tokens has now risen to 2.5 billion, and some critics find it hard to believe that all of those coins are backed by US dollars. Where do I even begin? So the price of Bitcoin actually went up by $120 and Ethereum by $10 within an hour of issuing of $250 million worth of new Tether tokens. During this same exact podcast, I think it was Mike Novogratz who was talking when institutional investors planned on getting in. I said a couple of days ago, I said, it's so weird that all these companies are now coming forward to talk about launching their own stablecoin. We have Circle, who's talked about it. We have Binance, who's been talking about it, and we have about 6 or 7 of them who have been talking about it. And he said the same exact thing that I said. He believes we are going to get to a point where we have so many stable coins that people will eventually start to cash out into stable coins as opposed to cashing out into fiat currencies. And on that same exact note, so for those who do not know or are new to the game, when Tether first started printing out their coins, there was a direct correlation between the price of Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies going up, because when Bitcoin goes up, everything else goes up, and the amount of Tether that were being printed. I said, and I told my friend, I wonder what's going to happen when we have 7 stable coins and not just one, who all claim to be, backed by their local fiat currency. There's no way that Tether has $2.5 billion sitting in a bank. I am going to just say that right now. What happens when we have 7 mimics of this and they're all buying cryptocurrencies? Because what ended up happening is that the people who were printing out Tether, so the story or the legend goes, that they were buying up Bitcoin with it. This is why they believe the price of Bitcoin went up by $120. When you have 7 of them at the exact same time, and they're constantly printing out these digital tokens that they say are backed by the euro, backed by the yen, backed by the so-and-so, and they're all printing them and buying Bitcoin 7 times more than Tether has already done, what then happens to the market? And you better believe, I'm going to call this right now, there's definitely one bank out there somewhere in the world who is also creating their own stable coin and will be printing them more than we could even possibly begin to believe. Mike Novogratz said he believes in stable coins and he likes that they are being printed because it stops people from pushing their money into fiat. It keeps it within the crypto sphere. He said he does not foresee any type of regulations on stable coins until things like Tether have printed around $100 billion. He said this is when other institutions will start to stick their head into stable coins and say, hey, what's going on here? This is why I believe Tether has gotten to a point where people are starting to ask questions. And this is why we have 7 other ones who are all coming forward. And I think they will all possibly share a portion. They will all eventually hit around $20 billion. And this is what will be one of the main driving forces in the prices going up. Like I said, I'm just a crazy guy on the internet talking into a microphone, but pay attention to exactly what's happening because, not to spend too much time on this topic, Binance tried to launch their own stablecoin last Friday, literally a couple of days ago. What ended up happening was there was so much demand for their stablecoin, the price of the stablecoin shot up to $1.30 because there was so much demand for it and they had to end up stopping it. And I think they just launched it yesterday as not a trial run, but not a full thing going on. So clearly there's demand for these stable coins, and I have a strong feeling they're going to be pushing the price of all the cryptocurrencies up. Right. So one of the largest financial supervisors in Europe met with the National Bank of Georgia, the NBG, and other members of the finance sector to discuss cryptocurrency regulation, according to a post on NBG's site on May 18th. According to the post, a representative from Germany's Federal Financial Supervisory Authority, BaFin, met with members of the NBG, the International Financial Institution, the IFI, private sector, commercial banks, brokers, audit, and legal companies to increase awareness of crypto in the country. At the meeting, the participants had a service to receive detailed information on the crypto industry from the leading financial supervisory authority of Europe. Once again, all these people are meeting because I believe they possibly have a stake in the market. But there was something that was released a couple of days ago that I believe it was France and Germany, there was some type of Euro-wide consensus that was met on cryptocurrencies. And as of now, we have nothing leading towards a ban. We actually have a lot of countries that have very favorable tax laws. I think at the moment, Germany has the best one. I know France has lowered their tax on cryptocurrencies to around 19%. Germany is something like if you hold your crypto for a year, if you have proof that you held it for a year and then you sell it, you pay 0 taxes on it. So I feel like they're trying to get into the game and they're just trying to push, other countries, awareness, if you will. In December 2017, Georgia's NBG took a skeptical stance towards cryptocurrencies urging citizens to be cautious. The bank told the public that cryptocurrencies do not constitute a legal means of payment. Any crypto-related activity is not regulated, and that the NBG bears no responsibility for the subject. Yeah, we've heard that all before. It's something that banks and institutions have to say, you know, if you get into trouble and you trip and you fall, it's not my fault. Make sure you protect yourself, blah, 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 blah. But interesting to hear that these banks are now all meeting up to discuss regulations, and I'm pretty sure if a country has been thinking about having some type of harsher regulations, I think this is why the thing is kind of going on, to kind of tell them, because Germany is the largest economy in Europe, to kind of steer them in the right direction and say, this is what we did, this is what you can do, this is how you can profit from it. Right. Last up in the most interesting news today, and I will tell you why in a minute, Google is apparently trying to recruit Ethereum co-founder Vitalik Buterin to join their team, according to a since-removed tweet by Buterin on the 20th. He literally posted an email from Google saying, "Hi Vitalik, I hope you are doing well and enjoyed the weekend. Google makes sense for you now or in the near future." He actually made people click on a poll to see if he should actually if he should actually leave Ethereum and go to Google. Many of them voted no. Buterin posted a since-deleted tweet with a screenshot allegedly from a Google recruiter asking if the Google made sense for you now or in the future, along with a poll to the Twitter community over whether or not to take the job. In the original tweet, Buterin neglected to censor the recruiter's name, email address, and profile photo because he's an interesting guy. He always does stuff like that. The poll had over 2,000 responses before being taken down. Anyway, it says pool. Before being taken down, with the majority voting no to Buterin leaving Ethereum for Google. At the end of March, Google revealed that it was working on two separate blockchain projects, a tamper-proof auditing system and cloud operations platform. Earlier that same month, Google had announced plans to ban all crypto-related ads. This is interesting because after Charlie Lee decided to leave, or announced that at some point he would be leaving Litecoin in order to make it more decentralized, there's been a lot of rumors about Vitalik leaving Ethereum. The same with other major projects that are going on. The heads have started to whisper that they will or are possibly in the process of already beginning to leave their projects because they do not believe that their coins can be 100% decentralized if there is a head at the top of the totem pole. There's a couple of problems with this, and I'll talk about that in a second. He's noted before that he wanted to leave Ethereum when people came up to him after a conference asking him what Casper coin was and what Plasma coin was, because he said people just kind of don't know what's really going on. But there are also rumors that eventually the heads of major things will eventually leave in order to kind of let someone else be at the helm of the creation of the coin, or kind of have an evened out thing in the coin itself to have everyone have an equal voting right on what eventually happens. Because when something happens to Ethereum, Vitalik kind of slams the hammer down and says this is not going to happen. And then it does not happen because he is the face of Ethereum. My issue with this is humans, if you have not realized, if you're listening to this and you are not an AI and you are human, humans have a tendency to follow the leader, whether we want to believe it or not. And you can be as independent as you want to be. You watch a certain news station, you do certain things, you go to your own certain grocery because you believe in this leader. If the heads of these coins eventually end up leaving, there will always just be someone else who ends up taking over, who goes to conferences, who ends up talking on panels. And I think it could, in the beginning, be detrimental for the coins because we're used to, this is a cartoon, but we're still used to his face. We're used to Charlie Lee. We're used to Novogratz and Tom Lee and all these other people. And if they leave, it kind of leaves everyone scattering, looking for another leader of the cryptocurrency space. I don't think Vitalik's leaving anytime soon, at least not within the next 5 years, especially because he seems to be so hands-on with the project. But it's interesting that Google is actively trying to recruit him. And the fact that he posted it before even getting rid of their email address is just kind of hilarious. I wonder how many emails that person actually got after sending him messages, especially some type of hate mail, especially if they're trying to get him to leave a beloved project such as Ethereum. All right, everyone. that's definitely going to do it for this video. This isn't even all the news. There's a lot that actually ended up happening during the weekend. I was actually surprised. I needed the time off. I feel a lot better. Was just a lot kind of going on. I hope you guys had a great weekend, are having a great week. Thank you 100% for all the support. I do appreciate it more than you could possibly begin to imagine. Hope you guys have a great day, and I will talk to you all soon. See you.